Greetings, YouTube. The other day at work, I found myself thinking about the movie Attack the Block. Now, I reviewed Attack the Block here, and it's a rollicking good time. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, had some solid special effects, and one of the best examples of someone living the life of the Stoic philosophy in recent years. But as far as a science fiction film was concerned, it was utterly and absolutely absurd. Didn't have anything to do with science at all. However, I enjoyed it, and I thoroughly recommend it to everyone. But I thought, all right, how could I use that in a fantasy setting? So I thought I'd kind of deconstruct what the film is, and how would I apply that to a fantasy setting. So essentially, the characters in the film find a thing. It's an alien in the film, but it could be just a magic thing. One of them brings the magic thing into their home, which is an apartment complex in the film, but it could be a village. This thing attracts bad monsters. They then have to defeat the monsters to win the day. So how would I use this in a fantasy setting? We are going to say that the party has been hired by a village because they've been having a rash of attacks. Now, I'm leaving this very loose so that it could be applied in many different ways, but you'll fill in the blanks as I go along. They tell you that they've had 3 attacks spaced 9 days apiece. I picked 9 because I like the number 9. It could be any number of days you want. It could be full moons. Doesn't matter. And the first attack was so innocuous, nobody really noticed it. Second one was a little more noticeable because it had twice as many monsters as the first one. And the third attack had twice as many monsters as that one. That's when they realized something bad was going on. And there's going to be another attack, they predict, in 3 more days. So, the characters have 3 days to figure out where this is coming from, why this is happening, and how to stop it. They discover that this particular area recently suffered a landslide, a major one. It's in some foothills. And major spring downpours, things like that. Snow melt, something caused a landslide. Could be just a minor earthquake. Again, mix it up. Maybe it's not a watery area. Could just be Afghan-like. Lots of steep ravines, earthquakes, cliff face falls off. So they begin to explore the area where the landslide happened, or earthquake, whatever had you. And they discover, fairly high up, out of an area that your average person probably wouldn't look in, they discover a artificial chamber. Lined chamber. And they discovered that not only is it lined with stone and everything like that, but there are inscriptions on the walls. And in this, which was possibly the center of the room at one time, there is a pillar, small pillar, or a pedestal. And they say probably the middle of the room because the front half of this chamber is gone. It was just sheared off when the landslide happened. And these inscriptions on these walls, written in numerous different languages, warn people, don't touch the thing on the pedestal. And again, the thing could be anything that GM wants it to be. But for the sake of this discussion, it's going to be a small statue, about 1 foot high, bronze, maybe give it a couple of gems in its eyes to make it attractive. And it is of, in my example here, a female figure standing next to a fill in the blank. And fill in the blank here, again, I'll fill out that in a minute. The landslide revealed the chamber. The player characters will discover that someone from the village, singular, or maybe a small group of people, depends on how you want to play it, discovered this and found the statue on the pedestal. And remember, it doesn't have to be a statue. It could be something else. And they brought the statue, or whatever it is, the MacGuffin, back to the village. The warnings telling you not to touch the thing on the pedestal is because that will bring a curse upon the finder. So the player characters then go back to the village, find out, hey, apparently somebody's activated a bad thing, and there's a curse on your village, so we need to find the thing, and we need to figure out how to break the curse. And maybe the people that created the original chamber didn't know how to break the curse. They buried the thing inside this mountain in the hopes that no one will find it again, because they couldn't figure out how to fix it, how to break it, how to destroy it. And they may or may not initially find the person or persons that found the item, the MacGuffin in question. And, of course, investigations. Do they have to get it done in time? They probably don't. The monsters attack. They have to defend the village. Twice as many monsters as the last time, so it's a pretty stiff fight for the player characters. They get a little help from the villagers, but the villagers are all, they're non-player character classes, all very low level. The guy who's in charge of the defenses could only be second, maybe third level, if that. Make him only first level if you want. Again, it depends on how you want to scale this. And eventually they discover that a teenager, just below the age of majority, discovered this MacGuffin. And again, I'm going to say it's a female statue. And it's a female statue standing next to a fill in the blank. And she is the goddess of the hunt. I guess in Skyrim she'd be Hercene. But she could be anything. You could from history or from your specific campaign. And not just the goddess of the hunt, but the hunt as a test of your mettle. The hunt as a test of your prowess as a hunter and as a survivor in the world. And the statue, when found, and it becomes activated when someone picks it up, he takes physical possession of it, becomes an unattended object. It becomes an intended object, I apologize. As soon as that happens, they now become the focus of the hunt. And after, say 24 hours, a monster attacks. Now, the monster is going to be what is attending the statue in question. So if it's a low-level adventure, maybe it's just a hunting dog or a wolf. Maybe if the group's a little higher level, it's something like a hellhound. Not necessarily a full-blown classic hellhound, but, a dog-like thing with tougher hide, more vicious attacks. And then if it's a higher level, maybe it's a minor dragonling or something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe a drake or something. It could be a wyvern. You can scale this any way you want to scale it for the campaign in question. That's the beauty of this. It's very push, pull, click, click. You put the pieces together where they want to. And at the intervals, and I picked 9 days arbitrarily. I just happen to like 9. The next attack happens, and it's twice as many creatures as the last attack. The curse is broken when the person that found the statue, or whatever the MacGuffin is, kills a preset number of these creatures, thus proving their mettle, their survivorship. And if they don't do this, the curse will never be broken until they either succeed or they themselves are killed. Which is why they didn't figure out how to do this before the statue was buried, because the person had set it off the first time, or the last time, was killed before they met that target number. So, apparently Mandarin's very active today. So, the party may figure this out. Did they figure it out before the person that found it is killed? If they figure it out, can they help this person survive these waves of attacks and help them get to the preset number? Again, because I like the number 9. Say it's 9. They have to kill 9 of these things before the curse is broken. Or does the curse get broken because the guy or woman gets killed, and now the player characters have to figure out, do they figure it out before someone else picks it up and starts the curse all over again? And once they do figure this out, now they've got this statue, and they have to treat it like toxic waste. They have to carry it around like nuclear fuel. They have to transport it without touching it. So making sure that it never becomes an attended object with ropes and sticks or something, or spells. Some way to get it to a location that is safe and is not going to be discovered by anybody else, hopefully, in a more stable hiding place than the last one. So this whole thing doesn't start again. So that's how I would take the idea from Attack the Block and turn it into an adventure. And of course, you could flesh out the village and make it as a base of operations for later things, or it could be just a little out of the way place and the player characters never come back again, or there could be they could have found something else when they were exploring. Maybe they found another thing because the landslide uncovered that had nothing to do with the main quest. You know, something completely different. Or maybe there's a red herring. They think they find something. Well, they find something that goes nowhere, and then they have to go off somewhere, do some research to discover this thing goes nowhere. And again, red herrings aren't necessarily always bad ideas, because sometimes you don't always hit the jackpot. Sometimes you find stuff and it just doesn't pan out. That's life. And you should have that in your adventures too. The player characters don't always get the big shiny thing, even though they may think they deserve it. Sometimes disappointment is a lesson in and of itself. So, this is just an idea of how to take a film and use it as an adaptation to a genre other than what the film is. So I'm looking forward to hearing about how you have adapted films or manga or anime or comic books or something to your campaigns. How you've taken an idea, filed the numbers off of it, and used it in a new and different way, particularly if you took it out of one genre and dropped it into another genre. I find that kind of thing fascinating. I find that James Bond movies are really good for ideas. I've used a couple of those over the years. So, tell me, how have you used inspiration from outside your favorite genre to work within your favorite genre?